All right, Chernobyl apparently isn't safe anymore. Again, let's see.
We have a problem.
New
What
overnight,
is
a
it?
Russian
A
drone
Russian
is
attack
Struck by a Russian
over the
Snowing in
Chernobyl
Chernobyl.
nuclear power
Oh my God, there
On
is a hole
February
in the roof.
14th, Russia flew
There is a hole in the roof. Is this Russia's fault? They threw a missile into Chernobyl. They destroyed the biggest plane there, Antonov, and now they are destroying. This is like the monuments of Ukraine. This dome and the plane. Come on, what are you doing?
a
And the radiation. Come on.
kamikaze drone into Chernobyl. Yes, that Chernobyl, the nuclear power plant that was the site of the worst radioactive accident in the history of humanity. Now, there's a hole through the protective shell or sarcophagus that guards Chernobyl big enough to drop an SUV through. We're here to tell you why this is a way bigger deal than you may have thought, and what Russia's game is.
Oh God.
Добрый вечер, товарищи.
This is Gorbachev, I think, yeah?
Все вы знаете, недавно нас постигла беда. Авария на Чернобыльской
Accident
атомной
at the Chernobyl
электростанции.
nuclear power plant.
Chernobyl is one of the few pieces of Ukrainian
I never
history
saw
that
this
nearly
video.
everyone in the world has heard of. At the time of the accident in 1986, only 5% of the radioactive reactor core was scattered into the environment. That was enough to leave 1,000 square miles surrounding the Chernobyl power plant uninhabitable to the present day. It's an area known as the exclusion zone. The explosion at Chernobyl released 400 times more radiation than the nuclear bomb on Hiroshima during World War II. All of that from just 5% of the reactor's contents, mostly uranium, plutonium, and the resulting molten mess termed corium. The reactor melted down exactly 39 years ago tonight at 1:23 in the morning. Since then, over 200 tons of radioactive material have remained within the new safe confinement, the official name of the sarcophagus shielding
The
the
dome.
destroyed plant.
That came, I think they added this dome in like 26.
To understand the situation caused by Russia's drone strike on Chernobyl, let's talk about what this sarcophagus is and how it works. So first, why did we need
I know, they built it from IKEA. Yeah? The dome is from IKEA. They bought it from IKEA and they assembled it next to Chernobyl and then they put it. They read the IKEA instructions. Terrible. It's not funny. Right?
any type of confinement? And by that I mean, what exactly is it confining? Radiation is commonly depicted in pop culture as a glowing light. That
Yeah,
kind of
it
radiation,
is.
electromagnetic
It's
radiation, is fairly
Right.
common, and much of it is benign. In addition to visible light, electromagnetic radiation includes radio and microwaves, X-rays, and also highly dangerous gamma rays, all of which erupted from Chernobyl. But this was not the most dangerous radiation that the Chernobyl meltdown released. Think of pollen, which trees release and the wind picks up and carries it everywhere, to other trees and flowers, but also onto your skin and, as anyone with allergies knows, up your nose. Now multiply that by about 1,000,000 times. That's particle radiation. That was the main threat of Chernobyl. 4 tons of radioactive dust is still sitting inside the destroyed nuclear reactor under the sarcophagus, along with a mountain of other nuclear nastiness. Soviet authorities scrambled to construct an enclosure in just 7 months. The original goal was and remains.
So how come it took like 30 years to cover it up? Haven't the damage of like 20 or 30 years done enough? Like I think that after they put the dome, it was make a difference, but the difference wasn't as big as the first few years. I know it's still bad, but you know, it's good they put it, but they should have put it in first place, but they couldn't. Didn't know how. Had so many plants, nothing worked. Like no. They did other stuff to fix it, not just the dome in the first weeks.
To keep these radioactive particles and dust under lock and
Those
key,
folks, yeah.
rather than let them float off with the wind or seep into the surface or groundwater. They tried to limit contamination. Nobody, however, bothered to weld the enclosure shut or bolt its joints together, leaving rainwater free to creep in through the unsealed roof. In short, it was a band-aid over a bullet wound, but that was the idea. It was designed to last 20 or 30 years, but it corroded quickly, becoming hazardously unstable. In fact, the enclosure had to be stabilized with external scaffolding in 2008 to prevent a collapse.
Oh,
So they needed a new solution, something that had never been done before. But first, The Kyiv Independent is entirely member-funded, and it's your support that allows us to tell stories like an apartment for the Statue of Liberty, story building. That's like building a studio apartment for the Statue of Liberty, all the while trying to avoid collapsing the existing unstable structure beneath, or exposing people working on the enclosure to dangerous levels of radiation. The sarcophagus cost nearly $2 billion.
The sarcophagus sounds like something from Egypt, right?
Took almost a decade to complete. It was designed to last 100 years and withstand the most extreme temperatures and dangerous natural disasters, from earthquakes to tornadoes. What they didn't plan for was a war.
Who said there are tornadoes in Ukraine? What? What tornadoes in Ukraine? Come on, don't bullshit me.
In February this year, Russia did something mind-boggling. And
Of
now,
course.
this relatively
Of
new
course.
$2 billion sarcophagus, a protective shield between humanity and the worst nuclear disaster in human history, is no longer doing what it was designed to do.
Ніхто
I have solution for this problem. Zelensky can speak with Coca-Cola, yeah, which are very Western. He can ask them, look, I'll make you a deal. You, Coca-Cola, you fix the dome on your own expense. You put an ad saying Coca-Cola. They see it from space. It's going to be incredible. And it's going to piss Putin because it's like Western thing. Both of us win. You get an ad of Coca-Cola in Chernobyl. Insane. And you're fixing our roof for free.
й не думав, що взагалі ми опинимося в ситуації, коли буде атакована Чорнобильська атомна станція, коли буде атакована новий безпечний конфайнмент. Для нас, звичайно, ми всі в умовах війни може бути атакований будь-який об'єкт, але це вже верх цинізму і безвідповідальності з боку росіян.
When Russia blasted through the nearly 40-foot double walls of the new safe confinement, it short-circuited two critical functions in addition to opening a gaping hole. Contrary to what you might think, the new safe confinement is not hermetically sealed. It's not an airtight jar keeping everything in. How it works is that a specially designed ventilation system maintains a lower atmospheric pressure.
Oh wow,
inside,
I thought it's just a dome.
about 5 to 8 pascals lower than the exterior, to be precise. Even if you skipped class in high school, we all have a basic understanding that airflow moves from high to low pressure. You poke a small hole in a balloon, the air leaks out.
Like that in
So,
school.
lower pressure inside the confinement pulls air inside rather than letting it outside. To do that, you need to have a controlled environment, something you can't really do with a hole in the side. That's the first problem. The second is related to the arch's design. The strike on Chernobyl set off a chain.
It sounds like he said something very complicated. And in a simple manner, he should have said there is a hole. The radiation is coming out from the hole.
Reaction you likely didn't see on the news. You see, between the double walls of the confinement runs a layer of waterproof insulation. The insulation stopped moisture from corroding inside the sarcophagus. But once struck by a Russian drone, the insulation caught fire, which spread on the north and partially the south side of the confinement. It took emergency workers.
I can't believe that they like standing on it, like not afraid from radiation, but maybe they got like Geiger and it's saying it's safe.
Almost 3 weeks to put out the fire. And in that process, they had to punch new holes into the sarcophagus to find the fire at different points in a game of radioactive whack-a-mole.
З 14 лютого по 3 березня в нас ще виникали об'єкти горіння, тління, і всього десь 200 отворів було зроблено під час гасіння загальною площею 50 метрів квадратних.
The $2 billion project was intended to be a once-in-a-century endeavor. So what happens now?
У нас ціль відновити на 100%. Ми повинні повернути герметичність об'єкту, ми повинні повернути всі функції, які від самого початку були закладені в даний об'єкт.
As summer approaches, Ukraine will enter a rainy season. Temperatures will rise. Neither will help stave off corrosion.
Що стосується термінів взагалі по відновленню функціональності арки, то тут зараз важко сказати.
Another option would be to move the confinement away from the reactor. The 36,000-ton structure was essentially built on train tracks, so it's theoretically possible, but engineers are still figuring it out. In any case, it would be extremely
I think they need to build a bigger one and just cover this one, maybe. But this time make it fireproof and missile proof. Maybe put a Patriot missile, defense missile on it, and buy some tech from Israel that can take down those drones and missiles. What do you think about that? A lot of money, yes? Ask money from Coca-Cola.
Extremely risky to move the confinement due to the current condition of Chernobyl. So we're in a predicament, and it makes us wonder, what was the point of the attack?
What's the point in the attack? It's morale, to destroy your morality, and then you have another problem as Ukraine to deal with, no?
Since the start of the full-scale invasion, Russia has rattled the nuclear saber to sideline the world from intervening more directly on behalf of Ukraine. They shelled the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, the largest nuclear power plant in Europe, as they captured in 2022. Russian airstrikes have at various points also narrowly missed the South Ukraine and Khmelnytsky nuclear power plants. Not to mention, Russia has the world's largest nuclear arsenal, which Russian officials love bringing up in public.
I think from this picture that we just saw of
has
Putin,
the world's largest nuclear arsenal, which Russian officials
I would say from this picture, let me know in the comment section if you think that Putin is doing Botox. He obviously got money for that, and he's taking care of it. I think he's doing Botox. I would say like in the cheeks, in here, in the folds here, around here maybe, the chin, got some Botox shots.
Officials love bringing up in public statements. Threatening nuclear apocalypse appears to be central to Russia's foreign policy doctrine. Russia has denied each of these attacks, either in whole or in part. But intentionally attacking a nuclear power plant is a war crime, as enshrined in the Geneva Convention. But
I didn't know
for
that.
argument's sake, perhaps Russia didn't intend to strike Chernobyl. The Garand-2 kamikaze drone used in the attack can be accurate to within about 200 meters. The chances of hitting that one particular object within a 1,000 square mile exclusion zone by accident are quite low. Russia frequently launches its Garand-2 drones over Chernobyl, and yet the Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov denied Russia's involvement, calling it a fabrication and provocation from Kyiv. The Russian military does not do this. So even if it was an accident, Russia still routinely and brazenly and ignorantly plays with fire, and lies about it when it does. And this is not new for Russia. Here are declassified KGB documents telling state secrets concerning the Chernobyl accident. 1. The true reason of the accident. 2. Amount of damage. 3. The amount and type of discharge from the meltdown. 7. Information about the scale of contamination. 15. The mass poisoning and diseases. It goes on and on. That was from July 28, 1986, 3 months after the worst nuclear disaster in history. Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev was silent about the accident for 18 days. When he finally emerged on Soviet television, he spoke about Chernobyl passively while using the same timeless whataboutism we hear from the Kremlin today.
Нельзя оставить без внимания и политической оценки, и то, как встретили события в Чернобыле правительство, политические деятели, средства массовой информации некоторых стран НАТО, особенно США. И ни слова о самом главном. Как прекратить гонку вооружений, как избавить мир от ядерной угрозы. Как все это понимать?
The accident had nothing to do with the nuclear arms race, nothing to do with America or the West. This wasn't a nuclear bomb test that went wrong.
No.
People outside Ukraine often may think what happens here doesn't impact them, but thinking how the Kremlin responded then and is acting now, we should be worried, even panicked by Russia's rhetoric. Just as the impact of Chernobyl extended far beyond Ukraine, a potential nuclear accident now could affect the entire world. The tragedy of the February strike is that the new safe confinement
I don't know if today it's dangerous as it was 30 years ago. I don't think you need to scare everybody that's watching this. I'm not scared about what you just said. It's not like you're standing there. Even if you're standing there, there are like, grandmas that live in the area. People are literally paying money to go to see the reactor. And you get some radiations in other places today. And you have other sources to get cancers. People go to the beach every day. They get a lot of radiation there. People are flying in planes, get radiations. Radiation is everywhere, and also in Chernobyl in a big dose, but it's not as it used to be. I don't think so. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments. I don't think it's dangerous as it was.
Was supposed to offer you.
So yeah, they can cover up the roof. They can build another roof to put it on the roof if they like, all right? They can ask for help. They already got the plans. They need to do the same thing but bigger. So R&D, they don't need to waste money about that. Just need to build the product again. This roof, make it bigger. Put another one. And seriously, maybe put defense system if it's so important.
Ukraine an opportunity to close this dark chapter of its history. Over the next few decades, cleanup of remaining radioactive waste and nuclear fuel was set to begin. They had even planned to deconstruct the original Soviet-era shelter that is at risk of collapsing by 2029. Due to the war, most of these plans are on hold, but the clock is still ticking.
This video is worrying. I'm not worried about that.
Було заплановано роботи по демонтажу цих нестабільних конструкцій. Зараз зрозуміло, що ми мусимо трішечки посунути в часі. Наскільки це буде залежати від того, як швидко ми зможемо відновити функціональність арки. Тому що будь-які роботи з такого плану об'єктами, звичайно, можуть призвести, сподіваємося, що ні, але ризик завжди залишається. Для цього і будувалася арка. Нам треба, звичайно, відновити якнайшвидше.
Don't worry, stop worrying. It's going to be all right.
Will Ukraine repair the new safe confinement in time to prevent another incident?
Not
or
until
will
they're
Russia
finishing
strike
the
it
war.
again to keep proving the same reckless?
They are not going to fix it until the war is ending.